Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how silence can feel louder than words? One day the messages slow down, the replies get shorter, and then nothing. No good morning, no how was your day, no closure, just silence. And here's what most people don't understand. When both of you stop contacting each other, that's not the end of the story. That's when the real psychological game begins. Not the loud kind, not the dramatic kind, but the quiet, dangerous kind. The one that rewires attraction, ego, fear, and desire. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly what happens inside a woman's mind when contact stops, why silence feels addictive, and why the person who understands this phase always wins, even without saying a word. So listen carefully because what I'm about to explain, most men don't see it until it's too late. Silence doesn't mean she forgot you. Sometimes it means you're living rentrée in her mind. Before we dive deeper, a quick message. If you've been learning from my videos and you want to support this work, you can subscribe to me on Facebook with a paid membership, send stars, or join my YouTube channel's paid community. Your support helps me create more powerful content for you, and I truly appreciate every bit of it. All right, now let's continue. Phase 1, the false calm. When communication stops, the first thing that happens inside a woman is relief. Yes, relief. Not because she doesn't care, but because tension disappears. No expectations, no pressure to reply, no emotional labor. She tells herself, "Good, I'm done chasing. I'm fine without him. I don't need this." And for a moment, she believes it. This phase feels calm, controlled, empowered. She might even post on social media, go out with friends, dive into work or hobbies, all to reinforce the narrative she's telling herself. I've moved on. But here's the dark psychology most men miss. This calm is temporary. It's not peace. It's emotional anesthesia, a mental buffer between the shock of silence and the reality of what it means. And anesthesia always wears off, because underneath that surface calm, her subconscious is already working, processing, analyzing, preparing for what comes next. Silence doesn't kill attraction. It puts it to sleep so it can wake up stronger. Phase 2, the curiosity loop. After the calm fades, curiosity enters. It starts small, a fleeting thought during a quiet moment. Then it grows. She starts wondering, why hasn't he reached out? Did I matter less than I thought? Is he talking to someone else? Is he okay? Does he even think about me? And here's the key psychological trigger. When a woman doesn't get information, her mind fills in the gaps, and the imagination is always more powerful than reality. She creates stories, scenarios, possibilities. Suddenly, you're no longer just a guy who stopped texting. You become a mystery, an unsolved puzzle, a question mark in her emotional landscape. And mystery is attractive. It's magnetic. It consumes mental space. This is when she checks your profile, not once, multiple times. She scrolls through old photos, replays old conversations in her mind, remembers your tone, your confidence, your presence. She notices if you've posted anything new, if you seem happy, if you seem unbothered, not because she wants you back, but because uncertainty activates emotional attachment. The brain seeks closure, and without it, the mind loops over and over. The mind hates unanswered questions, and silence creates the most dangerous question of all. Did I lose something valuable? Phase 3, ego versus emotion. Now comes the internal war, the psychological battlefield where logic fights feeling. Her ego says, if he wanted me, he'd text. I won't be the one to break silence. I deserve better. He doesn't deserve my energy. But her emotions whisper, I miss the way he made me feel. Why does this still bother me? Why do I care? What if I was wrong about him? This conflict is exhausting. It drains her mentally because emotions don't follow logic. They don't care about pride. They just exist. And the longer silence continues, the louder those emotions become. This is where most men make a fatal mistake. They break silence too early. They send a hey, a random meme, a weak excuse to reconnect, a just checking in message that reeks of insecurity, and the moment they do, the mystery collapses. The tension evaporates, her ego wins, her attraction drops, and she regains control because now she knows he broke first. He needed her more. He couldn't handle the silence. Silence only works when it's complete. No breadcrumbs, no checking in, No emotional leakage, no half-hearted attempts at conversation, complete total silence. The first person to break silence usually loses power. Phase 4, the comparison trap. While silence continues, something subtle happens. She starts comparing. Not consciously, instinctively. She compares you to other men, the ones who message her now, the ones trying to get her attention, to past relationships, to the idealized version of what she thought she wanted. And here's the psychological twist. If no one makes her feel the same way you did, your value increases without effort. She goes on dates that feel flat, has conversations that lack depth, receives compliments that feel empty. And in those moments, she remembers how you challenged her, how you didn't try too hard, how you made her feel seen without needing to impress. Because attraction isn't about availability, it's about emotional impact. It's about the space you occupied in her life, the unique frequency you operated on. If you created depth, tension, safety, excitement, your absence highlights that. Silence becomes contrast, and contrast creates desire. The new becomes boring, the familiar becomes rare, and rare becomes valuable. You don't compete with other men. You compete with how she felt when she was with you. Phase 5, the emotional echo. This is the stage no one talks about, the psychological phenomenon that explains why exes come back, why no contact works, why silence has power beyond the logical. Memories don't replay evenly. The brain doesn't remember arguments clearly. It doesn't catalog every disagreement with precision. It remembers emotion, feeling, sensation. She forgets what annoyed her. The small irritations fade, but remembers how you made her laugh, how she felt seen, how she felt chosen, how she felt safe enough to be vulnerable. This is called emotional echo. The feeling lingers even when logic says it shouldn't. It's not rational, it's neurological. The brain creates associations. Your voice, your smell, your energy, and those associations trigger emotional responses even when you're not there, especially when you're not there. And the longer silence lasts, the stronger that echo becomes. Because nostalgia is selective. It amplifies the good, softens the bad, creates a highlight reel in her mind. That's why random messages weeks or months later hit so hard. Not because of the words, but because the emotion was never resolved. The chapter was never closed. The story was left unfinished. Unfinished emotions are more powerful than finished relationship. Phase 6, the urge to reconnect. Eventually, one thought appears. I wonder if he'd respond if I reached out. She might not text you. In fact, she probably won't. Not immediately, but she imagines it. She drafts messages in her head. Hey, how have you been? I was thinking about you. Random question. She plays scenarios, predicts your reaction, analyzes potential outcomes. This doesn't always lead to contact, but psychologically, you've already re-entered her emotional space. You're occupying mental real estate without paying rent, without asking permission. And here's the truth most men don't understand. Silence isn't passive. It's pressure, quiet pressure, invisible weight. It creates a vacuum, and vacuums pull. They don't push, they don't chase, they simply exist, and everything rushes toward them. The urge to reconnect isn't about weakness. It's about human psychology. We're wired to seek resolution, to complete unfinished business, to close open loops. And when someone doesn't chase us, when they don't need closure, we become obsessed with giving it to them, even if it means breaking our own rules, even if it means swallowing our pride. And pressure always seeks release. Silence doesn't chase, it pulls. When both of you stop contacting each other, there is no guaranteed winner, no script that always plays out the same way, no universal outcome. But there is a clear advantage, a psychological edge. The person who doesn't chase, doesn't react emotionally, doesn't seek validation, doesn't rush closure, doesn't panic in the void, and doesn't break under the weight of silence, is the one who holds psychological leverage. Not because they're manipulative, not because they're playing games, but because they're centered, grounded, self-assured. They understand that their value doesn't depend on someone else's acknowledgement. That silence is just space. And space is neutral. It's not rejection. It's not indifference. It's simply space. And confidence without noise is irresistible because most people can't sit in silence. They need reassurance, validation, constant feedback. But the person who can exist comfortably in the void, who doesn't need to fill every gap with words, that person radiates a different kind of power, quiet power, the kind that doesn't announce itself, but everyone feels it. Silence is not a trick. It's not a tactic to manipulate someone into wanting you. If you use it to punish, control, or manipulate, it backfires. People sense intention. Even when you don't say anything, your energy speaks, and manipulative silence feels different than grounded silence. One is cold, calculated, weaponized. The other is calm, purposeful, self-respecting. But if silence comes from self-respect, from emotional discipline, from knowing your value, from genuinely focusing on your own growth and peace, it changes everything. Because then it's not about her, it's about you, your healing, your clarity, your boundaries. And that kind of silence, it doesn't just create attraction, it creates respect. Because the strongest energy isn't attention, it's detachment with presence, being unavailable but unforgettable, absent but impactful, gone but not forgotten. The most attractive thing you can say is nothing. When your silence speaks, confidence. If this video made you think, if it explained something you felt but never understood, if it gave you a new lens to see an old situation, then do me a favor. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and make sure you check out the other videos on this channel because this is where we talk about real psychology, real attraction, and the truths most people are too afraid to say out loud. The uncomfortable truths, the nuanced truths, the ones that don't fit into easy formulas or quick fixes. We don't do surface level advice here. We go deep because you deserve better than generic dating tips. You deserve understanding, clarity, and the psychological tools to navigate modern relationships with confidence. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay silent when you need to, and remember, your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see